Alrighty, welcome to the blockchain meeting for November 16th. Let's go ahead and do our testnet check-in. To Walker, I believe you have a few things to say about the testnet.
Yeah, and do you want to just give another second for Aaron? I don't see him yet.
Oh, my bad.
No worries. Yeah, while we are waiting on him to join, the first issue, Thomas reported it over the weekend. I think Aaron just opened a new issue for this. Most likely it's an issue in the Stacks blockchain API and some interaction with the event stream. I think the current suspicion is that when it receives, I think a transaction confirmed event, it temporarily takes it out of the list of transactions that it reports are pending in the mempool, and that causes this kind of weird behavior from the explorer's perspective, where a transaction shows up in the mempool, then disappears, then reappears and is confirmed.
So this is not the blockchain itself. Then this is the sidecar's rendition of the transaction state.
Yeah, that is the current suspicion. I think it's issue. Let me open this issue.
I can go ahead and open that issue here and just pull it up.
Yeah, it's Stacks blockchain API 333. Let me.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I put a link in the doc.
Great.
And then the second one is, it's not a new issue. I just wanted to bring it up again, just to make sure that it is still kind of top of mind for us. I think we're still seeing pending like transactions stuck in the mempool for extended periods of time. I don't know if we have like a single root cause. There is one issue that I've kind of anointed for tracking this whenever it comes up. And it continues to come up consistently. So at some point, I think we'll have to really focus in on what's going on here, although I doubt we'll be able to get to it in a meaningful way this week or maybe even next week. So nothing maybe immediately actionable, but just wanted to flag, unless like someone is aware of like a known explanation for why this might be happening.
So why they get stuck in the mempool for a while? I know a while back we had this problem where it wasn't a problem really, but it was that the user mined two conflicting transactions, and one found its way into one fork and one found its way into another fork.
Yeah. Are you asking like if that's what's happening here? Have you verified
Yes.
that? I don't know. I don't know. And Matt, can you confirm? I think we modified the faucet to issue transactions directly to the miner node instead of going through the follower. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So like there was a class of bugs we had encountered earlier where the follower was not propagating broadcasting transactions out, but at least for faucet transactions, that hasn't been the case for a while. So probably like there's maybe like some newer issues or things that we need to investigate further, but we can come back to this later. I just wanted to make sure that people are aware that this is still happening and keeps coming up on Discord.
Right, and as you pointed out, like the transaction being slow to be mined, it can be a symptom of many unrelated problems that don't even overlap or intersect.
Yep. Yeah.
Is Aaron going to join today? Have you reached out to him?
I did ping him, but I don't see him yet. So we should keep going, I think.
Alrighty. Well, in that case, so I guess like that action item here is we just
I think one other thing.
What's up?
Yeah, one other thing that might help and is essentially, I think, Jude, you had like a sort of step list of instructions for like how to go about debugging this on your own, like if you're running a node locally. I think something like that, if you can, and I can work with other folks on this, but if you can even create like a tool, if someone is running a node, if they can just like run a tool, give it a transaction ID, and kind of it spits out some useful information about the node's local view of the blockchain for that given transaction ID. That might just help with the debugging process. I think it's still, the on-disk state, it still feels a little bit inscrutable for folks who are not like intimately familiar with how the databases are organized, how to kind of read, parse the information. The log files are kind of hard to process as well for folks. So that's another thing to think
Do you
about.
want to add a wish list grant to the Stacks Foundation for this? This sounds like something that a community member might be able to take on.
Sure, I can.
And just copy and paste the instructions I had from Discord, like into the grant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that could just become, I mean, I could see a tool like becoming a Swiss Army knife for this. Like it does multiple things. It looks into what's going on with the transaction.
Sorry to interject, Jude. Looks like Aaron is waiting to be let in. So if you could just let him in.
Bizarre. He didn't show up. Oh, here we are. All right. Sure, if you want to go ahead and make a wish list grant for better debugging, this type of tool, that would probably be the best thing, because I promise I don't have time to do that.
Yep,
Right.
Yep, I believe you. All right, I think that was it from the testnet perspective. I guess like a couple of other things. We implemented a way, at least on the nodes that PVC is running, so that we can upgrade node software without forcing a chain reset each time. We tested it on Krypton last Friday, I think. A side effect of that is that now chain resets are manual. So yesterday we reached the configured exit at height. I think the chain length was 5,000, or maybe the burn chain length was 5,300 blocks or something like that. So that required a manual reset, but just so everyone's aware that it probably we would want to maybe just remove the exit at height altogether, because at this point we want to essentially make upgrades unless there are consensus breaking changes, and then if there is a consensus breaking change, force the chain reset manually. So we shouldn't actually need to have like this exit at block height anymore. So maybe that's something that we can get rid of.
Yeah, that sounds doable. I guess the question though is how do you force nodes to stop if we do a hard reset, if we do a chain reset?
I mean, we didn't have a good mechanism even before, right? Like we used to have a situation where people are running stale nodes all the time. So for now, I think we'll continue to just rely on broadcasting loudly that we are doing a chain reset, and there's a consensus breaking change, unless people have better ideas for forcing such kind of upgrades.
Okay. I mean, I just want to get your thoughts on that, but that's fine. And you're right. People do run stale nodes, even with the exit at block height, and that has led to, it'll help us find and fix some interesting problems. So at least I feel more confident we can deal with that now.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and check off testnet check-in unless Aaron has anything else to add. All right, mainnet blocking items.
Yeah, so, I mean, there is some, sorry, go ahead, Jude.
I went ahead and checked off one of these issues here because it's actually not, it's actually impossible to do. And that's okay though, like we can just roll with that. I believe I also checked off.
Did you close the corresponding issue on GitHub? Okay, cool.
Yep, it's closed.
So I was going to suggest that maybe we review the board first, and then come back to it. That we would have paged back in everything that's in progress, pending, and then what I would like to do as we go through this list is really kind of identify everything that is consensus critical, that is not in progress or not yet started, and basically look at what that list is looking like, and see if that seems doable or tractable between now and Thanksgiving. Because that's the kind of the highest level or high level bit that I'm looking to get out of going through this list. So if you review the board, there'll be some overlap, and that might help.
Sure, let's go ahead and do that then. All right, reviewer approved. Building the Bitcoin chain up, building the Stacks chain off of the Bitcoin testnet. Is it still waiting on? Yeah, I'm still waiting on my approval. I think I had a couple comments on this, Ludo.
I think I did address your comments.
Okay, I'll take another look at it today then.
Okay.
Cool. And then we'll get that merged in. Sorry. How do I get rid of this? Cool. So we have a PR now for mid, median block mining. Did you just send this in, Aaron, 36 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Sweet. I guess we should take a look at that as soon as possible then, since that's one of the consensus breaking changes that'll need to get in before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Loading dynamic costs from chain state. I took a look at this. I think we're still waiting for Reed to take a look at it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at this today.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks to be in pretty good shape, and that's a big step towards being able to address one of the bigger consensus breaking changes, which is the ability to vote on cost functions. I know this is like a small change here, but I just actually want to just pull the community beforehand. On the one hand, I can definitely see the appeal of making it so that our GitHub instructions tell you exactly the set of arguments to pass into Git to make the Git clone and build process easy. But on the other hand, it feels weird to me that we're telling people how to use Git. Like, I don't know, whenever I see a project that does that, I'm immediately turned off because it tells me that like they either think I'm stupid or they really screwed up their Git somehow and they need to tell me how to work around their own screw up. That's just a feeling that I get, though. I don't know if that's universally held. I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to ask the audience before we merge this.
I think that we've already thought too much about this.
Ha! Okay. Merge it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We will get that merged. Cool, Matt, where are we on the perform export step on block interval here?
Pretty good. So DevOps is using this branch right now. They suggested that we don't have to merge this into like the V1 migration branch where we're tracking all this work. It doesn't really matter to me. Like this is all basically testing code for like our internal setup.
Okay.
And I basically just push changes to this branch whenever DevOps requests it. So there's like some value in like not merging it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
For now. I don't really care. Up to you guys. Like,
No,
I mean, we can take it off the board if it's annoying.
Oh no, that's totally fine. Do you want to just add the title "Do Not Merge"?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we can skip over it in the future, and then we can circle back to merging it in like when we're getting close to the upgrade.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool, thanks. Cool, Pascal, how are you doing? How are you doing on the PR here for maximum?
Yeah, I'll like I said, I haven't been feeling well since I got back, but
Sorry.
I can that's okay. I can redo that one and finish it today because that's without the configuration addition, it's just a trivial change. So
Sweet. Yeah, thanks for opening that.
sure.
Ludo, is this ready for review now? The Atlas Networking and DNS contract?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I see we already all left feedback. Okay, so we should just all take a look at this again because this is a pretty big change, and we will want to give the rest of the team, like Hero Systems team, to a chance to be testing connected stuff with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are we doing on 1641?
Same thing. No movement last week, but I've seen that we've merging two more databases, so that may also help in the reverting. But I still need to add a test to see whether that would be safe enough.
Yeah, I remember the difficulty with this is that the use
Just
of
the unwind.
Yeah, might make it hard to unwind.
Yeah.
So we'll just want to test to see if that's the case, and if so, we can revisit how we deal with transactions against the side store, which I think are already slated to be refactored anyway.
Right. Yeah. So no progress. Maybe I'll take a stab at it this week.
Alrighty.
I would say, Pascal, if your time is also constrained, if you're sort of relative prioritization of like the work that's on your plate, I would say the mining module
The
work.
mining,
probably
yeah,
should
yeah,
wait for this.
that's also what I was going to say, is that this has taken precedence. That's why
Mhm.
there was no movement there.
Gotcha. Reed, how are we doing on the cost calculation use?
Yeah, so this, the linked PR for this has actually been merged. So I
Oh,
think this should
excellent.
be in the done category.
Oh, awesome. Done.
That's weird that the PR didn't close it.
Well, let's go ahead and close that issue then.
Yeah, if you close it, it'll move. It should done all automatically, or it should.
Oh, I think this issue is should be closed because we just merged the PR for this already. Same problem.
Yeah, I think that it only auto closes issues if it's merged to master.
Okay. Oops. Same situation here, Pascal. Like mining module takes precedent, and this is not really a high priority right now.
Correct, yeah.
Sounds good.
And this is working a lot better than it was anyway.
That's good.
All the changes you added. But
I'm
we
glad-
still have issues. We still have some issues there.
Yeah, it's not perfect, I know.
Yeah.
Briefly in progress, I moved a couple of issues into in progress that had not been there before. These regarding having to, I'm sorry, you already probably know what these are. These are just various microblock tasks I talked about last week. I'm trying to find the ones that I moved in. Yeah, these last two issues right here, I just wanted to bring to your attention. In the process of building out and testing the new microblock stream structure, I actually had to address both of these issues concurrently. The reason I had to merge these stacks, chain state and headers DB early as part of the microblocks PR is because the processing logic for poison microblocks needs access both to the clarity state as well as the chain state. The only way really to make that happen in the current code base is if you put the database tables for both the chain state and the clarity state into the same database. That was actually easier than trying to refactor the whole code base in order to pass in two transaction handles. And we don't want to even do that in the first place because we want there to be a single transaction active when we're processing blocks. Implementing this wasn't that bad. Almost all of the line changes are just changing the name of the structure. And very few lines actually add new functionality. It's just a matter of putting the tables into the same database more or less and adding a bit of glue code into the MARF so you can get access to the underlying database directly in order to do non-MARFed transactions, but it's pretty straightforward. There was another issue that just moved here. Did somebody move the considered harmful issue for POX? That was in progress?
Yeah, the issue is still open. I just removed it from the board because it's not a blocking issue for Xenon.
Oh no, it's in progress. I actually had to address it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I put it there. I actually got burned.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, can you put it back, please? Because it
Sure,
will be closed as part of the microblocks PR. I actually got burned as part of testing it by the way the current stacks balance system is structured, leading to balance inconsistency. So I went ahead and refactored a little bit of it to make it so that you can have at most one. You can have at most one change against the against an account balance active at one time, and that's enforced through lifetimes. I'll leave it to you guys to review. The change is pretty small, but it does make it safer to use the current interface. Like I can't accidentally burn myself anymore.
Sorry, Jude. In that issue, you.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's the sorry, that's the wrong issue. Let me find the issue here.
Yeah, I thought that the 1846, which is what I had moved out of the project, I thought that
No,
was something that we wanted to tackle as part of Stacks 2.1, right?
You're right. I'm sorry. I tagged it wrong. It's this issue here. It's the usage of status balance.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that's in progress. And I don't know how to assign it from here into in progress. Maybe add a milestone.
If you there's a drop down right under where it says Xenon, and if you right down it says backlog, just say in progress. There we
Got
go.
it. Okay, that's in progress. My mistake. Yes, you're right, Walker. This is not going to be part of this project. Pascal, do you want to talk about the approach that you have for the mining module?
Well, for now, I've taken the approach that you suggested.
Okay.
I've implemented something to build a block. So far, I've needed a couple extra parameters.
All right.
I can't remember what, because I haven't looked at it for a week. And I may, I think you want and I probably want to add what tip you want the miner wants to actually mine from instead of taking the canonical one. For now, it's using the canonical, but eventually that may be something that we want to have.
Yep.
At least that's now I need to actually start testing what I got. It's not enough, and I need another call after that to actually send the block or figure out how to send the block from outside from the miner. But for now, there's so much code inside the node that it's a lot easier to rely on that code instead of having people to redo it, especially if they want to use a different language.
Yeah.
Because they need to figure out all the crypto stuff, and that can be heavy.
I agree. It's probably fine if the miner module stays in Rust, because what we could do, like in the limit, what we could do is compile it to WASM or to the LLVM intermediate representation. And that in turn would let us compile it to different VM backends, not limited to a binary, but potentially also, like the Python VM or the Java VM or something like that.
But for now, yeah, I've got the RPC infrastructure to do the one call and actually build a block and return it to the miner. But I need to do some more testing, and there's still more work there. But before you actually the block happens, arrives on the blockchain, but it's been slow but steady.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. It sounds like you're making some pretty good progress there.
I think so too. I don't know how far I'll go this week, but that's going to be my main focus.
All right. Yeah, and obviously take your time if you're not feeling well.
Jude, very, very quickly, in 5 minutes, I'm going to jump to another meeting. Like one of the things I wanted to chat a little bit about is, in the mainnet stand-up, we were talking about, we're going to make this call around Thanksgiving based on the consensus critical code. And I just wanted to get a sense from the blockchain team in general, like how are you feeling right now? What are some of the main things that we should be tracking? Maybe if you can just discuss that briefly before I hop off, like that'd be super helpful.
Sure. If I just switch my screen over to mainnet blocking work items, these features, most of them are consensus breaking. But fortunately, I think that most of these are in flight already. Like this just got a PR open. This just got closed. This will be done this week. Cost contract validation pass. I'm not sure what this is. Aaron, do you want to tell me?
Yeah, it's just a static analysis pass that prevents voted in cost contracts from doing things like reading from the database or calling contract call. Like it limits it to arithmetic operations.
Okay, that's just part of the cost tracking change. Block fill limit, this is not started yet, but this is next on my plate after the microblock work, because this is part of doing transaction fees correctly.
Yeah.
Initial cost function determination. I'm just going to run through these real quick and determine which ones, like where we are on each of them.
It's not started.
Interposing cost calculation on contract calls.
Not started, but I'm starting it today.
And this PR is?
Not a PR. That's an issue.
Okay. And that's maybe 2 weeks out, would you say? 3 weeks?
I would say 2 weeks maybe, for like I think there's going to be a good amount of discussion about some of the details here, but I think the API will be pretty simple to flesh out, and hopefully we can have a basic version of this up soon.
Cool. Asking because this is a consensus breaking change. And if we're shooting for Thanksgiving, we would want to get the consensus breaking parts out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say that the like largest things like that, there's a PR open for, but the largest things still outstanding are 2004,
Yeah.
1805.
You're right. This is probably the scariest one, I think.
Yeah, and the voting contract. I mean, even if all of these things were very small issues, like imagine each item on this list took 2 days to implement and review and merge, which I think is an optimistic view. There's like 15 or 16 items here. And let's say 4 people knocking out 2 issues or an issue every 2 days. I think that we're past Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So that's where like my fear is that this list still seems pretty big. And just at the rate that we're going, we're not going to make it through all of these by Thanksgiving.
We also have 1062, right? That's also non-trivial,
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
This also something that's not reflected here, which I think is going to be important, especially from a miner's perspective, because currently there's so many different forks that makes the profitability calculation for a miner like impossible to do, because there's so many blocks that you're going to just actually not win anything for. So this is also, I think, something really critical that we need to have a much better handle before. Otherwise, miners are just going to try and lose money and just give up. At least that's my take.
Do you want to add an issue for that, just so we can track it here?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Appreciate it. Munib, does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, and the things listed as bugs and stuff, that's
not all of this is yeah, like so these bugs they're mainnet critical, but I don't think they may not be consensus breaking. It would depend on what the solution is.
And what type of kind of like audits or further testing, let's say we reach the consensus, consensus critical code is now locked and we're not changing it. Like, if you can walk me through the steps after that, like where would we start feeling comfortable that we can move ahead? Is it a couple of testing? Is it a couple of weeks of testing? Like, you know, any details there can help me.
I mean, we don't have sort of a, I guess like there is if you scroll to the bottom of this doc, there's several ideas for testing. I think at the very least, optimistically, if we had everything, all consensus pieces done by Thanksgiving, then we would have, you know, roughly 3 weeks to have those things be live on the testnet for testing. And then I think I saw at the bottom here, Ludo added something which seems pretty promising. Like if we can actually deploy sort of a version that is running against the Bitcoin mainnet and run through like all of the basic operations, you know, observe like 1 or 2 POX cycles, contract calls, STX transfers, Genesis block, actually verify them on the Bitcoin mainnet before we sort of publicly launch Stacks 2.0, like that would be ideal. But I mean, we definitely don't have time for doing all of that. And, you know, if you're trying to target December 15th.
Any other thoughts? I'm just collecting information, like just to get an idea of like where would people start feeling comfortable, like what?
Yeah, so for me, like I tried to capture the level of testing that would make me feel comfortable in this document. I think I sort of viewed this level of testing as almost the bare minimum of what we would want to get to. Like we would want to get a medium-size-ish network reaching this 27,000 block height number, because 27,000 blocks is about 6 months of runtime. So yeah, I don't know.
No, it's
If
good.
we-
It's the benchmark.
Yeah, like if I feel like the way that I look at this document, like if we don't check off more or less every item on this document, like I'm not going to be in a place where I'm going to feel comfortable with the launch. Like there's items in under the clarity nice to haves where like if we don't do them, I would still be comfortable with the launch, but like clarity might not be as good as it could be at launch. But otherwise, everything I think on this document would need to be checked off.
Right. Sounds good. I think this is super helpful. And we're doing the blockchain meetings on Mondays. All right.
Yes, same time.
I might drop off and then we can chat again next Monday.
Yeah, and you and I can follow up separately, Muneeb,
All right.
for this. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Muneeb. Well, leave that up and go back to this here. Okay, that was sobering. Do you want to talk about that a bit more before we switch back to the Xenon Stacks 2.0 board here?
Sorry, is that a question for Aaron or the group?
Just the audience, everyone.
Yeah.
I know we said we talk about this after running through the board, but since we're already here,
yeah,
like we can save ourselves a context switch.
Sure.
In terms of planning, what's our take on like maybe launching a mainnet by December 15, but like some kind of mainnet beta where everything runs on Bitcoin mainnet as expected, and yeah, maybe
That's an interesting thought. Like I think that's what Tezos did. They did like their testnet became their mainnet, and they just made changes between the testnet and the mainnet.
And maybe
so
miners can earn some stacks, and like we can also like schedule a new Genesis in January 15 or February 15, and we will be including like the Genesis from the prior mainnet beta in this. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a good thing to try to keep that date intact.
Do we but the reason it's December 15th is because mining has to start by then, right? That's the underlying motivation here.
Yeah, I think the underlying motivation is from a decentralization perspective. It's kind of a milestone that signifies the code base reaching to a point where PBC is no longer the. Sorry, can you not hear me, Jude?
No, I can't. There's 1 second. There's people mowing the lawn outside, and it's deafening in here. 1 second. I'm gonna switch rooms.
All right, hopefully Jude is.
Can you say that again?
Yeah.
To start.
Yeah, I was saying that any date, whether it's December 15th or a later date, like the primary constraint, at least for PBC, it's just that it's an important milestone for us to signify a point in time after which PBC isn't seen as the entity that's in control of the network, so to speak. And I think we are already rapidly approaching that point, both in terms of contributions that are coming from outside of PBC and our ability to actually affect the actual launch. So once things are code complete, so to speak, the actual launch will be triggered by the miners. So the later we push out from December 15th, there are other timing considerations that influence at least PBC's position, but that's where it comes. So mining starting this year is mostly just a proxy for saying that the network is at a point where PBC is no longer in control.
But it's not the only option, though, is what you seem to be saying.
Correct. Yes. Although, I mean, we would have to discuss. I mean, I think this mainnet beta idea is worth exploring maybe further, exactly what that would look like, because effectively we're saying that it's yet another testnet instead of running against the primary Bitcoin testnet. It's running against the Bitcoin mainnet. Right?
Yeah, and people are spending real money. And that would mean that if we do any upgrades from there, we would need to make sure everyone's balances get moved from mainnet testnet to mainnet testnet, which is fine. Like, we just need to be prepared to explain all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, that's something that I would like to understand a little bit better, what that might actually look like, and see if that opens up any options for us. I don't know if you want to do that now or later. Ludo, since you put this down here, maybe you can just talk about what you had in mind, like what this would actually look like.
I think I need to think more about that, but yeah, I can follow up.
Because from what I understood, at least my idea of what Ludo was saying is that miners can actually start earning rewards. So you test all that mechanisms, but the balances from the 1.0 haven't been moved till later. And they can be triggered by a chain quality. That can be triggered by miner acidity, kind of a number of metrics, which would solve the PBC control part of it as well. When to do the rollover of the balances, but it would not endanger balances if there was like any major issue also, which would be a concern. Because my biggest nightmare is like you flip over to 2.0 and suddenly someone finds a way to just steal balances from someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be really bad. As opposed to if it's only minor balances, which are going to be smallish, it's still a big deal, but it's not as big a deal. Right? So that the idea has some leg to it, I think.
What if we activated stacks on mainnet, but we disabled stacks transfers altogether? Like you could only mine stacks.
Oh, that's also a good, because that also solves a lot of the potential issues. But then you can't test whether someone finds a way to.
You're right. You can't, but you can still do everything else. Like you can deploy contracts, you can call contracts, you can make NFTs or fungible tokens, and you can transfer and spend those things.
Yeah, which would be like minor. Oh, just tokens, but not STX. I see. Yeah. Okay.
Because there's legal considerations around the STX.
Sure. Yeah. No. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. That's also a variation, possible variation.
Let me write some of these down here.
And so,
because the main concern is people losing anything of real value, and STX as value, for example, besides the legal constraints. But yeah.
So, what about keeping all the features enabled, but maybe set up this mainnet beta so that it auto-terminate itself in a month from now. And at the end of the cycle, people can vote if we are keeping the chain from mainnet beta or just recreating a new chain from V1.
But you can't fully recreate a new chain, because if people have
Oh, yeah.
Bitcoins to earn something, they need to keep it, at least that part.
I think that for the miners, we can maybe have some kind of grant program where
Where you grant them the money they spend. Yeah, that's possible.
yeah, or maybe just rewarding stacks, whatever they earned during the mainnet beta.
Although you could take the stacks balances they earn on 2.0 and credit them on 1.0. If you reset the chain, that's also a possibility, instead of granting money. It's not going to affect the overall supply dynamic there that way. You just triggered that part of the supply shape where people start earning stacks. Because the grants might be like a lot more complicated too, and a lot more labor intensive than to handle.
So I think that the thing to think about, if we're doing like some sort of mainnet beta or like mainnet release to like miners and then have the miners do something else, the thing to think about is like, what is the benefit that we're getting from this, versus sort of just like releasing what we have at that moment and then miners start mining on it. Like, is the benefit that we're getting that like by doing something like this, the miners are able to like initiate a fork at these like auto termination points where they're like updating the Stacks node code base? What are we trying to necessarily achieve here?
From my perspective, I think there's two elements. One is setting expectations and managing expectations, for miners and the broader community on what to expect from the network, what kind of changes can and will happen. So that's one part of it. And then so using, either a different terminology or a different set of constraints can help manage those expectations. The other is essentially creating a little bit of more controlled environment than, like a full mainnet launch would be. So again, when we say something like mainnet beta, essentially what it's doing is imposing some constraints to create more control about what can or cannot happen on the network. And what giving us more, or giving the community more control, would essentially translate to as, not having to worry about certain kinds of things happening on the network, and be able to focus on testing the things that we would like to focus on. So as long as like a mechanism allows both of those two things to happen and they're kind of related, I think that's worth exploring.
Another possibility would be like to sort of maybe mandate is not the right word, but mandate hard forks on a monthly schedule for the next 3 to 4 months, because you still have some consensus breaking changes that you want to add, or say clarity extensions or whatever so you force, like every month you're going to force a hard forks, and miners will be forced to update their nodes, and everybody else too, but especially miners.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I thought you were saying earlier. Like the node just crashes like after a month. Like it has like a hard coded exit at block height or something like that.
Yeah. Or like what they do in Ethereum is they have like the difficulty bomb, where like everyone in the network, unless there's a fork, sees that at this block height, it becomes impossibly difficult to mine. And so then miners have to initiate a fork.
that's one way to achieve it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't have the notion of difficulty though. So we probably want to have like a maximum chain length or something, at which point the chain must stop.
Yeah.
To answer your questions, Aaron, like what are we trying to achieve here? I think like if the overarching goal is to make it so that the network is not under the control of any single entity, I think this provides a pretty compelling argument for that. Like the miners are going to mine, they're spending real Bitcoin and they're earning stacks. What the foundation and PBC will work on together are a succession of releases that were release N adds breaking features that were not in N-1, and it credits all of the stacks from N-1 plus the miners new coin basis for N-1 into release N. So that way everyone's balances are preserved across these hard forks, but it's just the validation rules in the network change. The it's kind of like a rolling upgrade process that eventually stops rolling and it just stays static forever.
Well, not forever, but at least not as often.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we never have to hard fork again. Like that would be ideal in my book.
That would be good.
The downside though is that if we have any catastrophic bugs during this rollout period where stacks can get stolen or they can be mined or produced or inflated somehow, unrolling that's going to be difficult. That I don't know how you can do that without having one entity just saying, hey, like this is a bug, therefore these stacks don't exist. I think if we can de-risk that, I think that de-risks a whole bunch of other things about doing some sort of a rolling rollout here.
So maybe everyone can noodle on this asynchronously, and we can continue the discussion on Discord or a paper doc. Since we only have maybe 10 minutes left, let's come back to the board.
Yeah, sounds good. But it is something we should all be keeping in the back of our minds.
Just one more thought, because don't we already have a mechanism, although not exactly what I was going to mention, from the POX standpoint, where people stacking can repudiate an anchor block? You could by voting, you could also extend that possibly a bit.
What if that's broken?
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, there's no way out of that. But for other things where people have transactions, you can just roll back and restart from a different anchor block where this hasn't happened with but you need the new code though. You still need.
Right. That's kind of validating what I said earlier. The movement,
Yeah.
if that's buggy, you can't. I don't think you can fix that within the system. You would need to have someone identify this.
Yeah, but at least you'll get you'll get the messaging from people holding stack that they don't like what has happened, and they need an upgrade. See what I mean? It's the other way around. Instead of one single person forcing it, is like the stackers don't like what had happened on the chain, and they vote to force an upgrade.
Right.
That
Yeah.
mechanism can be
We can look
broken.
at that too, like finding ways for the people to repudiate. But let's move on to the board and we can come back to this.
Sure.
I just mentioned earlier the microblock stuff. We just covered the mining module. Reed already gave us the upgrade on the cost updates and the voting function, the voting system. Aaron, are the SIP wire formats are updated already, right? For the Bitcoin operations for stacking?
Yes.
Excellent.
So that can be closed.
Cool. And off-chain name database, this still just is waiting on, and all the BNS issues are still just waiting on full review now. There's no other new changes or work there?
No, there's no changes. I'm working on the migration of the V1 data to V2.
Awesome.
But yeah, and I think that we are kickstarting the BNS effort today with Tintash.
We're kickstarting what? I'm sorry?
The effort for the BNS APIs. with Tintash.
I'm sorry, that came in garbled. What are we starting today?
So we will be implementing the BNS system in the sidecar.
Yes.
And so we are kickstart. Yeah. So we are going to start that today with. We have a kickoff meeting with Tintash.
Oh, Tintash. Okay. Wait. We're not implementing the off-chain naming system. Someone else is.
So the endpoints in the sidecar, we're working with a vendor that implemented the Rosetta endpoints. They're pretty familiar with the sidecar code base, and so they'll be doing the implementation with our guidance, obviously.
Okay. As long as we're comfortable that they're going to do a good enough job such that no one's name gets lost, then that's cool.
Yeah, I'm fairly paranoid when I do reviews, so should be okay.
All right. I moved a couple of things over into in progress that we already discussed. Do we? I know this is like a breaking change here. The pay forward Coinbase is the absence of a sortition. Is that something we're going to start this week, or is that still going to be not started by the end of this week? What do y'all think?
And we have quite a few things in the in progress column and in review in progress. So.
Alrighty, so I'm going to guess no to all of this then. These are all going to remain backlogged. New issues, Stacks contract call issue. I don't know what this is. I haven't read it yet. Dwalker, have you read this?
Yeah, I think this came up on Discord, and I think Aaron responded as well. So Talha is trying to build delegation service and was just trying to actually go through the process of stacking on the testnet, and at least in his attempts to execute the stack STX call, he wasn't able to get it working with any number of like the start burn height values that he provided. I think Aaron, you commented that by the time the transaction actually executed, the chain had advanced to beyond that number. But I think, yeah, Thala feels that he's tried a lot of different values and nothing seems to work. So maybe we need to just point him to a successful case of this call executing and values to choose. I don't know if there's an actual bug here or if it's like a symptom of, any pending like long-standing transactions would also result in this behavior. So it could just be a symptom of that.
Yeah, I think that it's just the long pending transaction is making these contract calls all invalid. Like the fact that it takes 4 to 5 hours for its transaction to get included, it pretty much tells the whole story here.
That's bizarre that it takes 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem with the testnet, basically. Like we're something is wrong with the way that we're processing transactions.
I see. We'll have to find some time to look into that then. This is pretty straightforward. When we get around to it, I guess we'll go ahead and add comments to the cost tracking functions contract, just to explain what the instance characteristics are. I think we already talked about this in the architecture meeting. I think we settled on V2 transactions here. Can I go ahead and close this? The issue is that
yeah, I think so. Like I think this is just
it's not a bug.
Issue.
It's supposed to be
not a bug. Yeah.
Cool. Initial seeded account balances not propagated through the event stream. Is this something we will want to do?
I would say almost certainly this is something that we want. Yeah.
Okay.
Because otherwise the sidecar, it has no way of knowing the initial account balances.
There's going to be over 1 million of these in the when this starts up.
Yeah.
Can you actually assign that to me? I think I can take care of that with
Sure.
the current PR.
Feel free to batch and gzip all that into like one request.
It's yeah. Try not to run out of memory when you do this.
Yeah.
You could probably stream it too, or assuming the tooling supports it on the Rust side.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a lot of work to make it stream,
But
unfortunately.
if the initial balances are known, because the Genesis block is not going to change ever, could that be preceded in the sidecar instead?
Yeah, it's a good idea as well.
Yeah, that sounds more reasonable.
Yeah, because then you avoid having this massive packet of stuff. Because it's always going to be the same thing. Every time you restart a new node, you're going to get that dump. So just pre-built it, pre-bake it.
That's true. That's probably a faster solution here.
I mean, we would still want to have some like authentication of the Genesis block built into that setup, because otherwise, like now we have like two sources of information for Genesis block. I don't know, that dependency seems kind of off.
You could still have the sidecar could also just query all the balances that it wants initially, or rely on that, or decide if it decides not to rely on that preceded data. But I think that
Matt's designing the snapshotting system right now. You could probably make it so the sidecar just imports the same snapshot that the V2.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the plan for subdomains, but the difference is that this one is like more, it's like consensus critical. Although the sidecar is not consensus critical, but we just have now like we would have like two code paths basically to accomplish very similar things, which might end up being the way to go. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'll leave it to you guys to try out to figure out which one is better. Circular reference and nested function invocation. Is this a bug in the VM?
I looked at it very briefly. If it actually fails, yeah, because its code is legit.
That's why I'm asking. Like, I'm not sure if it's a bug in the REPL or a bug in the VM itself.
Yeah, I would suspect that that's a bug in the VM, because I think that the way that it's doing circular reference checks is it's just checking whether or not a function is in the stack twice.
I see.
And here identity is in the stack twice.
Even though it's not a circular reference.
But it's a valid use. It's a valid use. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I assign this to you, Aaron? We don't have to. Oh, sorry. We don't have to give it a milestone just yet, but placeholder.
Yeah.
Okay. And accidentally added myself. All right, this is just opening an issue from the comments on the cost tracking PR. Finally, this bug I know that we've been going back and forth on for a while now. Aaron and I posted a possible solution to this over the weekend. If you just want to take a look at that and let me know what you think. And that applies to everyone here because it's there may be some subtleties here I'm overlooking. I think we had this, I think we might have talked about this last time, test ground for large scale testing. Aaron, I think this is something that you wanted to do for the main network items here for testing.
Yeah, if you look at these testing items on that paper doc, I believe that the 5,000 node setup, we would probably want to use test ground for.
I agree. Okay, so that's just where it is now.
Yeah.
I think that brings us to the end of the board. This is 7 days ago.
Yeah, and then that issue right there, 2042, we should probably move to in progress.
Oh, awesome. Same with this one here, arithmetic operations.
I'm not working on it yet.
Okay, I'll leave it here then. Matt, are these both in progress?
No, they're not. They're not in progress at the moment. So the first one is like a really nice to have, but I think DevOps is continuing setting up stuff with the assumption that we're not going to have this. So we could probably get away without doing it. We'll see. The second one we definitely have to do at some point.
Yeah.
I think this week I'll probably wrap up. Well, actually, hopefully early this week, I wrap up some work on the sidecar and can move back to this. Yeah.
Alrighty.
I think this one is like, I'm assuming this one is probably like stupid simple, like 2 lines of Python code, and it'll just take me like a day to figure it out and test it. If you feel like you can do it in like 10 minutes, then that would be really nice. But if not, no worries.
I can take a look at it. I'm pretty sure it is just like a 2-line change.
It's mostly just like setting up like the integration test harness for things like this is just like super painful for me. It just takes a really long time.
Okay, I can take a look at this.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Just want to check this off here. I think we're slightly over time. So there's nothing else on the meeting agenda. Shall we adjourn?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Happy Monday, everyone.